So I haven't posted a video in a couple of days, maybe a week. It's been a tough week. And as I was waking up in the middle of the night repeatedly, I thought, actually, I do have something I can post a video about, and that is how I fall asleep. Because I was talking about this with a friend of mine, and she was like, it's an interesting technique. You should like write a blog post or something about it. And I figure, you know what? I'll just tell you guys about it. So if you're having trouble sleeping because you're overthinking stuff and because bad things are happening in the world and because AI might take your job or destroy the whole planet, little things like that. Or, environment and wars everywhere and all the other things. Um, Staying awake is not going to help any of these things. In fact, it's going to give you less energy to be productive the next day and maybe do something about one of those things, right? So, yeah, staying awake and ruminating and being really tired is literally counterproductive here. It always is. And so my solution that I stumbled across totally randomly is wood turning videos. Just go into YouTube, search for wood turning videos, and you're all set. If you want to know more, keep watching. All right, so years ago, what I used to do is do crossword puzzles. Then I would do logic puzzles. Then I would do Sudokus. The idea here was to find something that caught my mind enough to distract me from my thoughts, but was not so interesting that it would keep me awake. So reading a book or watching TV was out because I would get caught up in a story, I'd get caught up in the show, and I would stay awake all night reading. Okay, so um, crossword puzzles were a little frustrating and I do get competitive. I do want to finish them. Same with logic puzzles, same with Sudokus. And also, I would go through a lot of them. I would have like books stacked up next to my bed, and I could spend an hour doing puzzles before I'd finally like fall asleep. And eventually, you had smartphones and you could do the puzzles on the smartphones. And so I was doing like thousands of Sudokus on my phone to try to get myself to fall asleep until, for some bizarre reason, YouTube suggested in its all-knowing algorithm that I watch a wood turning video. And for those who've never seen these, and who has, like what even is this thing? So it's an old guy, you're usually an old white guy, sitting in his or standing in his shop or his garage in front of a lathe, which is basically a motor with a spinning thing on it. And he's got a piece of wood attached to it, often from two sides or sometimes just from one side, and it's spinning. And the guy has a gouge, which is kind of like a chisel, but it's curved at the end. And he sticks it into the wood, and like splinters of the wood fly off, and little shavings fly off. And he talks, often in an old man kind of monotone, about, and now I'm using a number five ball gouge in order to get this curve just right. And he's making a bowl or a vase. And it usually takes him between 10, 15, 30, or 40 minutes to get this thing done. And it is hypnotic. You know those cartoons where, the watch is swinging on a chain and the person's hypnotized? That's what these things like. Watching this old guy talking in a monotone as he's scraping little pieces of wood off this old chunk of wood that he's got until it forms into a bowl or a vase is absolutely mesmerizing. You can't look away. but also it's not so interesting that it's keeping you awake. You know he's going to have a bowl or a vase at the end of it. There's no tension or surprise here at all. It's kind of like watching Bob Ross paint, right? You know there's going to be painting at the end, and you got a soothing monotone voice. And so I'll leave a link to my favorite channel and a couple of other ones too. There's also some young guys doing this. There's like a woman or two doing this, but for the most part, it's old guys. And they have the most soothing voices. And it is absolutely hypnotic. So what I do is I have a playlist, a watch later playlist with like all these videos in it. And I watch the last video on the playlist so that if I'm done and I'm asleep, it doesn't keep playing all of them. And I have my phone set at the lowest possible volume where I can still kind of hear it, and the lowest um, light setting, so it's kind of the screen is as dark as it can be with me still seeing it. And I have it propped up on a pillow next to me or on the phones, on the charging phone stand on the other side of me on the little, bed stand that I've got next to the bed. And so I can watch it. And I've got a little pillow that's perfect right size to just prop the phone on. And I get knocked out. When I first started watching these, it would take me like maybe a video or two to fall asleep. To, Today, it usually takes me only a few minutes, sometimes less. It can take me several nights to go through a single wood turning video before I take it off the list. Because, I pick up the next day, oh, like, yeah, when I was watching it last, he was doing this. And I'm like, fast forward to that spot and then pick up from there. Super soothing, very, very nice. Highly recommend. In the same genre of videos that are super boring but somehow mesmerizing are lawn mowing videos. There's a whole category of people who go up to like elderly people's houses and mow their lawns for free. You're literally watching somebody cut grass. Also very soothing, very nice. Put the sound down, kind of hear the buzz of the lawnmower. Very hypnotic, very nice. Um, there's people who clean houses, but I tend not to watch those at night because I get too caught up in it. Like, oh my God, what are they going to find next? Um, but they might work for you. What else? Let's see. Oh, restoration videos. So there's like channels and channels of people who find old rusty Tonka trucks. I guess they get them at estate sales or garage sales or eBay or something. Anyway, so they get this old Tonka toy truck, and then they sand off the old paint and the rust. Maybe they use a sandblaster of some kind, and then they restore the parts. Some of them 3D print replacement parts, and then they put it all together again and paint it. Also very, very soothing and very satisfying because you get to watch this thing being put back together. Highly recommend. Love those. They're restoration videos. And there's people restoring all kinds of stuff. People restoring furniture, people restoring various kinds of old farm implements, sleds, uh, like coffee grinders, electronics. There's people restoring old vintage video games, like literally anything. Most of those are faceless channels. So you just see the guy's hands. I assume it's a guy. You see the guy's hands and the whatever the thing that he's fixing up. Very soothing, very satisfying, very relaxing to watch. It captures your mind just enough to stop you from thinking about other things, but not enough to keep you awake for long. So yeah, so these days I put one of these things on, I'm asleep within a couple of minutes. Highly, highly recommend. Let me know if it works for you. And again, I'll link some of my favorite channels in the description box below. Thanks everybody. Bye bye.